Chapter 7 of the Urek Mazino side story might be the wildest mix of comedy, lore and chaos we've had so far. In 1 second, Evelyn is crying about being forced to pet a puppy. The next, Urek is shaking the floating ship with power so overwhelming that even the Shinsu starts talking trash. And in the middle of it all, a blue-haired clown trying to backstab Lou. So let's break it all down. The chapter starts with one of the most outrageous displays of stealth incompetence I've ever seen, as the blue-haired regular who got eliminated by Evelyn in the flip it or leave it game decides that the best tactical move to approach the princess is to loudly yell, "Princess! Princess!" across the open, because nothing says stealth like broadcasting the name of your accomplice. Naturally, the princess isn't having it, and she shuts him down immediately. He wants to team up and promises to devote his life to her if she accepts. But here's the thing, the princess refuses, explaining she's careful and selective about the people she trusts, which, if you think about it, makes perfect sense. Becoming a princess of Jihad is an almost impossible achievement, drenched in politics, betrayal and cutthroat competition. I didn't read her refusal here as arrogance, it's a survival instinct. And I really thought that the princess would once again have no more screen time in this chapter, and I was ready to rant about it. But luckily we got more scenes with her, which I will get to in a bit. Actually no, let's talk about it now. There was a scene in this chapter in which the princess is planning the perfect moment to strike and steal Urek's ticket. She will attack 30 minutes before the tickets are checked, as that would assure that everyone will have them on hand. She also hints that she has some kind of insurance. No idea what that is yet. But if she's willing to confront Urek directly, it's got to be something huge. Maybe she has kidnapped the female regular who confessed to Urek and briefly walked past her in the previous chapter. But in the moment, those are just my speculations. Anyway, meanwhile, in a much more wholesome subplot, Rohan and Lou have gone shopping for snacks and drinks. They meet up with Urek, who's genuinely happy to see the two becoming friends. He suggests going to his room to party, but lurking in the shadows is Evelyn, and she looks pissed. Inside Urek's room, Lou takes his first sip of a carbonated drink and immediately acts like he's tipsy. And this is the perfect comedic setup for what happens next. Evelyn bursts in, absolutely furious, shouting at Urek and Rohan for teaching her teammate bad stuff. She then goes off on Lou for abandoning her to hang out with these two bad people. Lou, bless his heart, just tries to ask how her scouting training went. And that's where the emotional whiplash kicks in. Evelyn immediately tears up, grabs a soda and begins drowning her sorrows in bubbles. Because her training did not go well, as Gisli, the ranker running the scout position training, forced her to pet a puppy. And I love Lou's reaction here. At first he doesn't catch what Evelyn just said and jumps straight into a supportive boyfriend mode and says, forcing something like that? They're not even human. Only for the penny to drop and for him to go, wait, what? I love those two together. But then Evelyn explains she doesn't actually hate animals, but whenever she touches them, things go horribly wrong. Most likely because she can't fully control her Lopobia anima powers. I assume that any animal she touches loses control and starts attacking her. Given her family's background, I could also see them shunning her for that, because she can't control her powers. This would add another layer of complexity to her character. Anyway, Urek then asked Neo, who's been hiding behind the door, how his training went. And Neo explained that his training involved creating a bang of Shinsu, which he apparently pulled off in a single day. Urek's eyes light up like it's Christmas, and he begs Neo to teach him how to do that. But Evelyn, she immediately became suspicious of him, very suspicious. As she should be, for all we and the other characters know, Neo doesn't belong to any of the 10 great families. So for someone like him, a regular with no known background, to master Shinsu manipulation in a single day, that's not normal. And this right here is why I love Evelyn and why she's my favorite character in the spin-off. She's silly, yes, but she's also very smart. This is where the chapter switches perspective to the princess plotting her attack against Urek, which I have already covered, so back to Partyland, where Evelyn drunkenly, well, it would probably be better to say on a sugar rush, sings the Apathy song by Rose and Bruno Mars, while being dragged away by Lou and Rohan. And once again, when you get that song out of your head, it's back. Thanks SIU. What's next? Soda Pop from K-pop Demon Hunters? I would actually love that. Once everyone left, Urek turned to Neo and begged him to teach him how to use Shinsu. Neo explains Shinsu is the life energy of every living thing in the tower. There are two ways to manipulate it: drawing out the Shinsu flowing through your own body, or controlling the Shinsu in the space around you, something only the rarest talent can do. And this right here is brand new info. And it reminds me of the power system from Magi. Shinsu is basically the same as Ruth and Magoi from the show. It's an internal power source you can train, but that also exists in the world around you. It actually clears up years of vague Shinsu mechanics, because up till now I always assumed that Shinsu was not something which people had within them, but always used the Shinsu around them. But the way Neo described it, it is far more common to use the Shinsu from within your own body, and those who can gather the Shinsu from the environment are considered geniuses. But enough with the comparisons to Magi, at least for now. This spin-off is about Urek after all. Neo walks Urek through forming a bang. He tells him to imagine a sphere in front of him and connect it to his body via a tube, and then fill it up with the Shinsu inside of him. Urek tries, but nothing happens, at least not at first. Then he tries again, and unbeknownst to them, a massive golden Shinsu flow starts to appear around the floating ship. The Shinsu begins shaking the ship so overwhelmingly that Dungeon and everyone else on the ship freak out, since they don't know where this massive flow of golden Shinsu is coming from. And there are two things of note here. First, and probably the most insignificant one, is that the Shinsu was talking to Dungeon and even insulting him. Now, I believe that this was done simply for comedic purposes and that there's no greater meaning behind this. But at the same time, what if there is? What if Shinsu could actually become conscious? And what if Shinsu that is gathered from the environment also takes on the personality of the wielder? This could open up a whole new world of possibilities. Imagine Varm's Shinsu Water Dragon as a sentient being. That would be so cool. And the second thing of note is that, at least to me, it was a bit weird that when Urek tried to form a bang, he was trying to use the method of drawing out the Shinsu flowing through his own body. But instead, the Shinsu around the ship gathered. Now, on one side, I think this makes perfect sense. Urek is from the outside. He most likely doesn't even have any Shinsu flowing through his body, which leads me to believe that all irregulars are actually manipulating the Shinsu around them, with Bam being a possible exception, as he was technically born inside the tower. The fact that we are almost 700 chapters deep into this story, and we still get new information and speculations on how the power system works is just insane to me, and speaks volumes about the complexity of it all. Back to the story, and as mentioned, everyone aboard the floating ship is in panic, and the blue-haired regular takes this chaos as his chance to attack Lou, just as I predicted in an earlier chapter. However, Rohan heroically shoves Lou out of the way and takes the stab himself. And I would just like to say that if Rohan dies here, I will riot. So the question is, can Lou and an injured Rohan handle this guy? But the chapter comes to an end when the princess goes into the man's bathroom to confront Urek. The two exchange some hilarious banter. Urek thinks she's here because she wants to date him, and she deadpan tells him that he should stop dreaming. No, she's only here because she wants to hunt the strongest. And that's where we leave things. Chapter 7 was great. Equal parts comedy, lore expansion and tension. Neo's Shinsu explanation might be the clearest in the whole series. And the princess's plan is now officially in motion. But do let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching and I hope to see you again. Bye!